Hello, brothers and sisters. It's Brother Walton here today with some more message and some information and some insight that I breezed over in the past, kind of with my readings, but then I really was able to understand more of it here as some information kind of came up here. And it's a little bit out of some people's reach, some information that people don't know. So I wanted to felt compelled to touch on it and kind of give some information. I have the Apocrypha with one of my Bibles here, and one of the books that I find that's interesting is First Maccabees. So I wanted to start some sessions where we go through First Maccabees and speak on it and see what kind of things going around. If you're interested, I have an NRSV with the Apocrypha, but I know there's other Apocryphas around, and Maccabees is one of the ones that many groups have spoken about and had good information, but they don't always include it in the Bibles. I believe the Catholic Church does, as well as the Mormon religion, because those were the first times I've heard about it and seen it around, and I think both my Bibles of those have it included as well. One of the things I understand and learned recently as it goes over about how the Romans wanted to incite their own beliefs and push them on the Jews in the area and the ones who were to be the Christians and all of that through their own means because they felt it best. So I wanted to take and read Maccabees here and give you guys some information and make this a part of the series. Start off here. Dear God, bless us reading. May it help people and strengthen them in their walk. May they glean good information off of it and be blessed in your sight. May they do the right things that you want them to do, as in your word, not as of the world. Lord, help them be strong. Help them be able to fight on your side and know you're the one who has our backs. You're the only one who can take control of our souls and have anything over that. First Maccabees, amen. First Maccabees 1. After Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came from the land of Kittim, had defeated King Zarus of the Persians, and the Medes succeeded him as king. He had previously been the king of Greece. He fought many battles, conquered strongholds, and put to death the kings of the earth. He advanced to the ends of the earth and plundered many nations. When the earth became quiet before him, he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. He gathered a very strong army and ruled over other countries and nations and princes, and became a tributary to him. After this, he fell sick and perceived that he was dying. So he summoned his most honored officials, who had been brought up with him from youth, and divided his kingdom among them, after he was still alive. And after Alexander reigned for 12 years, he died. Then his officers began to rule, each in his own place. They all put on crowns after his death, and so did their descendants after them for many years, and they caused many evils upon the earth. From them came sinful root, and Antius, I can't ever say these names after time, and Eutychus Epiphanes, the son of Antiochus, and had been hostage in Rome. He began to reign in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days, certain renegades came out from Israel and misled many, saying, "Let us go make a covenant with the Gentiles around us. For since we separated from them, and many disasters have come upon us." And this proposal pleased them, and some of the people eagerly went with the king, who authorized them to the ordinances of the Gentiles. So they built a gymnasium in Jerusalem according to the Gentile custom, and removed the marks of circumcision, and abandoned the Holy Covenant. They joined with the Gentiles and sold themselves to do evil. Then Antiochus saw the kingdom was established. He was determined to become the king of the land of Egypt, in order that he may reign over both kingdoms. So he invaded Egypt with a strong force and chariots and elephants and cavalry with a large fleet. He engaged King Ptolemy of Egypt in battle, and Ptolemy turned and fled before him, and many were wounded and fell. They captured the fortified cities in the land of Egypt, and he plundered the land of Egypt. After subduing Egypt, Antiochus turned in the 143rd year. He went up against Israel to Jerusalem with a strong force. He arrogantly entered the sanctuary and took the golden altar, the lampstand for his light, and all of its utensils. That lampstand, the menorah. He also took the table for the bread of the presence, and the cups for drink offerings, and the bowls and golden censers, the curtains, the crowns, and the decoration on the front of the temple. He stripped it all off. He took the silver and gold and the costly vessels. He took the hidden treasures of what he found, taking them all, and went into his own land. He shed much blood, and he spoke with great arrogance. Israel mourned deeply in every community. Rulers and elders groaned. Women and young men became faint. The beauty of the women faded, and every bridegroom took up lament. She who sat in the bridal chamber was mourning, and the land trembled for its inhabitants. And all the house of Jacob was clothed in shame. 2 years later, the king sent into the cities of Judea a chief collector of tribute, and he came to Jerusalem with a large force. Deceitfully he spoke peaceful words to them, and they believed him. But he suddenly fell upon the city and dealt it with a severe blow. Sorry, got the hiccups too, apparently. And he destroyed many people of Israel. He plundered the city and burned it with fire, tore down its houses and its surrounding walls. They took captive the women and children and seized the livestock. They fortified the city of David with a great strong wall and strong towers, and it became their citadel. They stationed their sinful people who were renegades. These strengthened their position and stored up arms and food. Collecting the spoils of Jerusalem, they stored them there and became a great menace. For the citadel became an ambush against the sanctuary, an evil adversary of Israel at all times. For every side of the sanctuary they shed innocent blood. They even defiled the sanctuary because of the residents of Jerusalem fled. She became a dwelling of strangers. She became strange to her offspring, and her children forsook her. Her sanctuary became desolate like a desert, and her feast returned into mourning. Her Sabbaths into reproach, and honor into contempt. Her dishonor now grew as great as her glory. Her exaltation was turned into mourning. Then the king wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and that all should give up their particular customs. All Gentiles accepted the command of the king, and many from Israel gladly adopted his religion in the sacrifice to idols and profaned the Sabbath. And the king sent letters by messengers to Jerusalem and the towns of Judea. He directed them to follow the customs strange to the land, to forbid burnt offerings and the sacrifices, and drink offerings in the sanctuary, to profane the Sabbaths and the festivals, to defile the sanctuary and the priests, to build altars and sacred precincts for shrines for idols, to sacrifice swine and other unclean animals, to leave their sons uncircumcised, They were to make themselves abominable by everything unclean and profane, so that they would forget the law and change the ordinances, he added, and whoever does not obey the king shall die. In such words he wrote to the whole kingdom. He appointed inspectors over the people and commanded the towns of Judea to offer sacrifice town by town. Many of the people who forsook the law and joined them, and they did evil in the land. They drove Israel into the hiding place of refuge they had. Now on the 15th day of Chislev, in 145th year, they erected a desolating sacrilege on the altar of burnt offering. They also built altars in the surrounding towns of Judea, and offered incense at the doors of the houses and the streets. The books of the law that they found they tore to pieces and burned with fire. Anyone found possessing the book of the covenant, or anyone who adhered to the law, was condemned to death in decree of the king. They kept using violence against Israel and against those who were found month after month in the towns. On the 25th day of the month, they offered sacrifice on the altar that was on top of the altar of burnt offering. In accordance to their degree, they put to death the women who had their children circumcised, and their families, and those who circumcised them. And they hung the infants from their mothers' necks. But many in Israel stood firm and resolved in their hearts not to eat the unclean food. They chose rather to die than to be defiled by food or to profane the holy covenant, and they did die, the very wrath who came upon Israel. I found a lot of that really interesting, because a lot of times if you follow Brother Dolph and some of these other traditions, you'll notice that there's a Greek spin put on these kind of things, that they do feasts of Dionysus and feasts of pleasure. Easter is a feast of pleasure because it's Ishtar. It's not a celebration of the resurrection of Yeshua. It's a day of pleasure and those kind of things, as also St. Patrick's Day. Mardi Gras is a big one, and it's celebrated by the Catholic Church, Rome, who were the Greeks. A lot of those things that are weird, things like the Catholic Church is doing, came through Greek tradition and different things like that. And I was wondering, where did that come from? Is that all Constantine, or what exactly caused that? In this first chapter of Maccabees, we see what was going on there, and really it should make you consider, what does God want? What did God say to do in his book, in the Torah? How did he say that you should observe the ways that he set things? The festivals, when it says that they stopped the festivals, what festivals did God want you to follow? So this was really an impactful thing when I saw it cited the other day, and was like, really? The Greeks did that? Excuse me there. Like, that wasn't something that I was totally aware of until Constantine brought it to fruition. I think I will read some more Maccabees and kind of break these down into some more videos that you can check out, but I wanted to start kind of a highlight of it, maybe get some people interested in learning what is in Maccabees, learning what these traditions that people are currently doing, that a lot of them are Greek and Roman traditions. Are they God's traditions? If you look through in Jeremiah, God specifically tells them that he doesn't want them to do the traditions of other gods, that they are not appropriate, that they're useless, that they're just profane to him. And with that, I hope you guys have heard a good message, that you guys have learned some new things today, and If you like this video, please hit the like down there, subscribe to hear more, and God bless you all. Shalom.